Hello, I am Diego Lizarazo, and today I'm going to bring you a small video for something completely different, taking into account that we're getting close to Independence Day. Um, I would like to create a small game around that and to kind of explain a little bit one of the templates that I already have created for different games that you can use. So the first thing that I would like to point is this link, bit.ly game templates. The capital T is important, it's case sensitive. And there you're going to be able to find some games that have to do with well what I'm doing. So let me show you. If you go to that link, you're going to be able to find my blog, and then you have like several links that you can use, especially this one, Chili Zombies. It's going to download something called Chili Clacas, really bad, but it's the same game, and that's going to be the base for what we're going to be doing today. Still, you have other games, so if you want to create an Independence Day game with something different, well, you're welcome to download them. You can do whatever you want, and let's start to it. So this is going to be, like I said, the basic for the game. And in this game that I did for Dia de los Muertos at some point, you control this character that is called Chili. I name him Chili. And he's a cowboy, and he is destroying these zombies that we see here. So I'm going to just explain the basics for this one. If you want to recreate this game or, well, modify it, like I said, you can download the template. Again, I'm going to show you the link. And with that, you're going to be able to create almost the same thing. So now, I am going to create a small project here, and the first thing that I'm going to do is to copy the same size for the camera, well, and for the window, and also for the layout. So the important thing with this layout is that if you see, it's quite wide because we're going to be able to scroll around this scenario. So that's why I want to have the same size. So we're going to put it here, layout size, and now we have something similar. Okay, you can make it as wide as you want, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm just trying to follow the things that I had here. Now, the first thing that I'm going to add is going to create 4 layers. So the one at the bottom is going to be our background, and I'm going to name it. And the one at the top is going to be our user interface. And for that, I'm going to put this one parallax 0, and that's it. And then these two I'm going to use just for the game elements. Now that we have that, I am going to use a background. I didn't have anything like, well, this one, Dia de los Muertos, is not the most appropriate one for Independence Day, and I don't think I had one that was really great, but I had this. So I'm going to show you these examples of backgrounds that I could have used. So I'm going to use the steampunk one here. So where did I get this, and where did I get like some of the images for the original game that I had here, like Chili and some of the zombies? Well, I did use the images that Wood Studio from Canada were using. So this is free game art. You see that you have downloads here, like the backgrounds. This is the one that I'm going to be using, and you have zombies, also Day of the Dead, and everything else. So you can find it at platformstarterkit.azurewebsites.net. Perhaps I should well, put that at in the comments of this video at some point. So that's it. So you can download them here for free. That's what I did, but you can use any background that you want. So the important part here is that I'm going to add this not as a sprite, but as a tile background. Why is this important? When you, I'm going to please first add it. I'll show you. I am going to use the steampunk one, and I'm going to put it there. So if this was just, and I'm going to make certain that it's on the background. And if this was just a normal sprite, at the moment that I try to move things around, like that I use the guides that we have here, it would change the size of the sprite. Just to show you, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to create a small sprite here. I'm going to make it red. And you see that it changes. Well, let's put something like a smiley face here so you can see the difference. If I begin to move things around here with a sprite, it's going to resize. But if you use a tile background, what it's going to do is just to try to fill that space with the same image. For example, if I keep adding here, I don't know if you see, but it never ends. Because it's just saying like I'm going to repeat the same image over and over and over again, and then I just fill the background with that. So it's perfect for this. And like if I do it, you're going to see it over here, the middle. It's going to repeat the image even if you try to make it like taller. So, and because these images were created to be backgrounds, they are quite wide, and that works quite perfect for our scrolling scenario. I think I can make it even like bigger and without repeating. And well, I guess something like this. I can then, if I'm going to go to the layout, the width, I don't know, 2500, something like that. Well, even more, 2800. And then I should be able to even repeat this. Oh, that would be great. So that's a quite wide scenario that's going to give us a lot of space to move around. If you want something else, perhaps it would be easier just to use kind of like a simple color in the background and then just add some elements as a sprites, like I don't know, clouds and things like that. But this one is quite detailed scenario, and well, I think it's quite cool. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I am just going to log the background so we don't have that problem. Now, since I already created the small sprite here, I'm going to use that one, but I'm just going to make it all red, or whatever color this is. That's it. And this is going to be our player. So it looks horrible, I know, but it doesn't really matter that much. Because if you go and check on the template, that's one of the first things that you're going to notice. I have two elements. This one that is called player, that has all the player animations. I'm going to copy it. And this other one that is called control object, that I'm actually going to copy and rename this one here. So what happens with control object? Why am I not using this one? Simply because I wanted to have two different objects. One to be able to control like the movement, and the other one to have the animations for the player. And this one I'm going to pin it to my control object. But now that I realize there is one thing that I haven't really like explained what it's going to be, what is going to be the Independence Day mechanic. Why is it going to be different? Well, one of the things that I had in the original game is that there are some crates falling, right? And here I just get like ammo and that's it. I just get ammo and I was able to destroy the enemies that I have here. But what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to make stars fall. And whenever I get to 50 stars, just like in the flag, just like the number of states, I am going to be able to beat the scenario. I'm going to win. And then hopefully go to another level. That's something that I'm not really going to add, the second level, but hey, you're going to get the idea. So that's the thing. I'm going to have like falling stars, and then I'm going to pick those as the game progress. Okay. I had some noise in the background. I tried to fix that. So let's do that. So which behaviors do I have for my control object? So I have a scroll to, bound to layout, and egg direction. I'm going to start with that one. Well, since we're here, let's make even the same size so we begin to have things that behave similarly. And I think I'll change it like this, something like that. Now behaviors, I'm just going to go on egg direction, and now I'm going to make certain that I have here Explorer, and I'm going to start. So now we have this little rectangle here that can move in any possible direction, which is good. But we begin to have problems. First, the orientation, that's not exactly what I want. And second, it's going to be about the limits. I can make my player kind of like float in the sky and go out of the scenario without any problems. And that's not what I want. So let's fix first the angle. So here you have on the behavior on egg direction, that is 360 degrees smooth. I'm going to say no. So first thing, now it's just a standing and it kind of moves in the shape that I want. Second, I am going to add the scroll to behavior, and if I run it and I start getting out of the scenario, it begins to follow me, and that's when it comes into place that we had a tile background, because then I can go all the way to the end of the scenario. But we still have this problem that is like I can't come out, I can get out of the scenario, so that's not great. So that's when I add the bound to layout, and that's going to stop me from getting out of the scenario, so I can get out of here. Still, I have a problem, is that my player right now is flying. Somehow I should be able just to go, like, let's say up to here. Okay, so that's something that in the original game was fixing basically what happened with electricity? There you go. For a second I disconnected my cable, my computer. So what I did in the original game was to use these limits, these sprites that I have here, these black sprites that I put here. So I'm going to copy them. And this is kind of cool, because if you haven't checked one of my previous videos that I show you how to copy elements from one game to the other, then you're going to be able to see it. And our trick, well, first is to pick the element. You can use the keyboard using Ctrl+C, or right-clicking and saying copy. So I can do that. Now, the important part is that here, these sprites are called limits. I should not have anything called the same on the other project, on the destination. If I do, I may have some problems later. But since I don't, I'm starting just my game, I can copy them, and I'm going to locate them, something similar. And these are already just like some sprites that are invisible, so I'm not going to have a black box following me. And second, I'm going to put them on the UI. And second, the other thing is that they have this solid behavior, and that's what is going to limit the movement here. Now, what I'm going to do is also going to move this one here and just locate the right combination, so something like here perhaps, and adjust them. And now we're going to try them. Oh, let's see. So if I try to go higher than that, I'm not allowed, and it makes sense because that's the limit of the floor that I have here. So I'm not flying in the sky, but I can go down and move around in my scenario, and then I should be able to go all the way down. You see that here the image is repeating. That's something that you have to pay attention when you use backgrounds, but well, I guess for our purposes it works. Okay, so that's good. Now let's do something similar, copying the, well, Chile, copying the cowboy, right? So I'm going to copy here. I'm going to say again Ctrl+C. I'm going to go to the other side, Control B, and I can put him here, right on top. Well, even I'm going to actually take the position just to make certain that it's perfect on top, and that's it. At that point, I could make the control object invisible, so we don't have that red rectangle behind, but at the moment I'm going to leave it like this so we can do testing. So if I just run the game at this point, my square is moving, my rectangle is moving, but not the cowboy. So how do I do that? This one is one of the few events that I'm going to create from zero because it's simple and I'm lazy that way. I am going to say system on a start of the layout. I'm going to pin the player to the control object. That works because when I copy the player from my template, it already had the pin behavior. If I didn't have this, I would have to go and say behaviors, pin, and well, add, and then I should have pin here. But since it's already there, it works. Then I'm going to say add action, player, pin to object, and then I'm going to pin it to the control object. And I'm going to say only the position. So even if somehow I'm able to rotate the control object, that's not going to affect the player. So if I do that, now I'm able to move also the cowboy, which is awesome. Now the problem is that obviously the cowboy is moving, but we are not using the animations, and it looks kind of just like a static object, and that's not good. And it turns out that I copied the object is because I already added some animations. So you have the default, you see that walking also is here, and look at the small frames, and you can see where this is going. And also I have things that included the guns. I changed them manually, some of the animations that came from the studio, and then they work okay. So how do I do that? I'm going to be again lazy, and what I'm going to do is to copy some of the events that I already had in the other scenario, in the other template. So I'm going to go here, event sheet, and I'm going to say to go animation, and this is it. So these two scenarios, these two blocks are the ones that are controlling the animation. So in this one, what I'm saying is like if the control object is moving, then change the animation to walking, and also have like a small variable that for the player, an instance variable that is telling me if I already picked the gun, so to be able to show the animation with the gun or without animation. And the other situation is like if I'm not moving. You see this little X here? This is denying, this is negate, like changing the event that I have here for the opposite. And in this case is like if it's moving, so this is if it's not moving. So I think I have everything right, so I should be able to copy these events, just how I copied the sprites, and paste them here, and it worked. If I had a name that is different, for example, that control object was named differently, and I'm going to make that, I'm going to take away one letter, object. Just with that, if I try to copy these other events, it's going to fail. You see, can't paste events here, and that has to do with because the names now are different. So if I put it back how it should be, object, now I should be able to copy the other events, which is good. Now let's test this. You see that now he's moving. Of course, now we have the problem that he's doing the moonwalking. That is, when I'm moving towards the left, he's not looking towards the left. But at least on the animation of like walking and standing, that's working. So how do I do that? So in the original game, I was using something that had to do like going right, like to know which direction I was going. And that really has to do with the fact that in this game, I was not only using the keyboard, I was also using this gamepad. But for this video, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say like, hey, I'm just going to use the keyword and detect which direction I'm going. So I'm going to go back here, double click, I'm going to add keyword, and now it appears on my objects, and I can ask for the keyword. So that means that I can say something when key is down. In this case, I'm going to say the left arrow. You just have to literally press the left arrow on your keyboard. What I'm going to do is to mirror the animation of the player. So set mirror. In this case mirror. And then I have the opposite. So I'm going to copy paste the entire event. And what I'm going to change here is I don't want to ask about the left arrow. I'm going to ask about the right arrow. And instead of setting it mirror, I'm going to set it to not mirror. So, and just to make it look a little bit better, I'm going to make the control object invisible. And let's test. So now I walk and I turn. And when I stand, also has the correct animation. So that's awesome. But I'm missing something here. That is the case that he has a gun, that the cowboy was already able to pick the gun. So I'm going to copy that element, that is this revolver that we have here, and I'm just going to put it there in the scenario. So I'm going to put it over here. Oops, something happened there. I don't know, something that yesterday it happened. I don't know exactly why it did that. There, I don't know really. So well, I just copied the revolver here. I'm not going to move this. And then what I'm going to ask is when the player collides, when it touches the gun, I'm going to set the variable to say that, hey, you have a gun, and then I'm going to destroy the revolver. So I'm going to say collision, on collision with another object. This case would be the revolver. So the player picks the revolver. I'm going to destroy the revolver because I already picked it. It should be in the animation in his hands. And I am going to say player set value, set boolean has gun to true. So that means, and because I'm setting it here to true, the next time it's going to check if it's moving, and it's going to go through this condition if it has gone, not for this one. So it should immediately change the animation. So let's see. And you see that, well, okay, I see what was the thing that invisible. Press undo. Here it is. So you see the animation without the gun works, and now I pick the gun and it also works. And if I just stay, it still shows that I have the guns in my hand. So it looks kind of cool, right? Now, what else should I do? Let's create the enemies, okay? Or no, let's go for the main thing, that is the stars, right? Let's put the stars. So the stars, I picked them from an artist that is called Kenny. He's located in Netherlands, and he makes a lot of animations that you can download for free that are Creative Commons Zero. So you see here, I'm going to be using some of these enemies soon, and also some of the elements that I have here that I think include the star somewhere. So I have it here. Here's the star. So I'm going to, well, I'm actually can drag it and drop it there. So where's my scenario here? So I can just pick it and move it around, and then here it is. And I think I put it on the background, right? So I'm going to put on layer 2. So there you go. That's good, right? So what am I going to do with this star? Well, first I'm going to make it perhaps a little bigger. Something like this. Yeah, too big? Well, it doesn't matter. Then you can change it however you want. I should do some sort of like movement. What my idea is that the star is going to fall and then the player should be able to pick it. So to make it the simplest thing, I am going to add the behavior that is called bullet. So I have it here. The bullet also is going to move in the same direction of my star. So I'm just going to change it a little bit here, point it downwards, and then it should work for this one. Okay, well, something like this. Let's try it. And you see the star is falling. Perhaps it's falling too fast, so what I'm going to do is like to lower it to 200. That's something that you can tweak on your own game. And then I have to do two things. First one, I need to do something when the player is able to catch one of the stars. And the other thing is to create new stars. So let's do the first thing. I am going to create first a global variable that is going to be called stars picked, and it starts at the initial value 0. So this one is going to count how many stars I have already picked. That way I can figure out if I already have the 50 that I want to pick. The other thing that I'm going to do is to have a collision. I'm actually going to copy this and I'm going to delete the actions. Is to detect the collision between the player and not the revolver, but the star. So I'm going to modify this. So whenever the player is able to pick the star, is able to touch it, I am going to destroy the star. And then I am going to increase this variable that I have here. So I am going to say over here, add 2 stars picked 1. At this point, also, if I had a score, I should increase that score. So why don't we do that really quick? So I'm going to add another variable that is called score. Here, I am going to also increase, but instead of stars picked, I'm going to increase the score. And I'm going to give, I don't know, 50 points. That's good. That's a good number. And because I'm not able to see that, because this is only variable, that is a score, I'm going to create a small text here that is going to be called a score label. Yes, and I don't want him in the background, I want it on the UI. It's going to be called score label. And here I'm going to say score equals 0. That's it. And then whenever I increase, that is in this case, the score, I am going also to update that label. So I'm going to say set text to score and then ampersand score. I hope that by this point you have already seen it in one of my videos or in a serious tutorial, but what I'm saying here is concatenating the value of the variable score to this text that we are putting here. So why don't we try it? Here's the star, I pick it, and you see that increases to 50. And internally, it's already saying I already picked 1 star. So, well, I'm closer to what I want. So, now I have 1 star. How do I create more stars? That 1 star is the one that we have here, right? So that one at the very beginning is going to be falling. So what I'm going to do is add another event that is going to be called every X seconds. In this case, let's say every 2 seconds, I am going to create a new star, right? So that's system create object. The object, of course, is the star. I'm going to say layer 2. Now I'm going to leave it here and I'm going to explain. What I want to do is to create the stars that are up here at the top of the screen, but they are outside, so you can tell that they are going to be falling. And also, I don't want them to be too far away from the player. So I'm going to use the X position, the X value for the player, to determine like where I'm going to do this. So I'm going to go back here, modify this. So the Y position is going to be something like minus 100. That's fine. That's above the screen. Like we start counting the Y at the top of the screen. And the X is going to be the player position, YX, I would like to have it random, so I should do something like this: random, I open parenthesis, and it's going to be the player position minus, I don't know, 200, comma, the player position plus 200. So that what is telling me is that it's going to take randomly a position that it goes in a range between minus 200 and 200, or plus 200, the player position. So something like this. There's still a chance that if I'm at the border of the screen, like, I don't know, my player is over here, it could create a star that is outside, so I'm not going to be able to see it. Or if I'm at the other border, it's going also to create it here, and I'm not going to be able to see it. But right now, I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, so something like this. So now let's see. I pick the first star, and then there's the second one, and you see that the score is increasing, and now many stars are falling, and the score is increasing, and I should be able to pick 50. But the thing is that I don't know where they're coming, and if I'm not fast enough, I may be able to miss some of them. But well, every 2 seconds I have the chance of picking one. Okay, so so far it's cool, but then what do I do around like, well, making the game a little bit more interesting? So that's when I'm going to include the enemies. So at some point when I was thinking about Independence Day, of course, the movie came to my head. So this is not Will Smith, but hey, at least I can still add the entire like idea of aliens invading America for Independence Day, right? So what I'm going to have here, I think I'm going to use this. Let's see. So these 2 aliens come from the artist that I was mentioning before, Kenny, and you see that it was going to opengameart.org, and the little aliens that are over here. So I'm going to pick these 2 and make an animation of an alien that is walking. So I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to add it here, like outside the scenario. And actually it's quite big, but and somehow I add it on the background, so I want it on layer 1, and I'm going to call him alien. Looks better. And then I can move him around here, and it's kind of big, but well, that's good. So let's see how does it look with the colors that we have so far. I don't know, perhaps I could use the red or whatever, but well, yeah, actually the yellow does not work so well. So I'm going to then pick another one. And this one is going to be, well, let's use the red then, or purple. Well, it's going to be this one. If it doesn't work, whatever. So this is the first one for walking. So let's add another frame, and then pick walk 2. And then I'm going to pick the animation and make it to loop. So it's going to look like he's walking constantly. You see? I realize that this is not the best color now. Okay, so let's change them really quick, and let's try green. Okay, walk 1. This one is going to be walk 2, and that's going to be the end of it. If that color doesn't work, which I don't think it does, but well, whatever. You can see the aliens there. So the cool thing is that now it looks like it's walking, but it's not really moving. So how do we solve that? Well, basically the same thing that we did with the star. I'm going to give to this alien the bullet behavior. So that we have it here, and it's going to be here. And I know that 400 usually is too fast for my taste, so I'm just going to put it here. And now you see that the little alien is moving. So that's cool. But then we have the same problem that we had with the star. That is, after a while we have only one alien, we have to create more aliens, right? So what I'm going to do is follow the same logic that we have here. Actually, I'm going to even copy this. And I'm going to say every second I should create an object that is not going to be the star. This time it's going to be the alien. And the position I am going to change it. This is going to be, I don't know. I have to check that. The XY, the X position, I'm going to make it on the left, so it's going to be like minus 100. And really the Y position, I'm going to make it in between. I'm going to use this one to check. Position 318 to 489. So that's what I want. So it's going to be a range in between these positions. So it's going to be a random between 318 and 489. Something like that. So let's try that. So every second, well, this is the original one, and now every second I have like a new one. Perhaps every second is too much, so it should be like every 2 seconds or something like that. I don't know. That's something that you can change in your game. So let's say every 3 seconds, and that's it. Now, a problem that I have here is that the enemies are being created only on this side of the screen. What happens if I want to create also enemies on this side? So what I'm going to modify is this condition, and every 3 seconds I'm going to create an enemy. I'm going to create an alien, but then I'm going to make that alien go randomly from the left or the right. I don't know. So what I'm going to create is another global variable, doesn't matter, and I'm going to call it dear alien, direction alien, right? And then I'm going to say here that dear alien is going to be a choose between 1, 1, 2, 2. So it's going to pick one number. I could use also random, but usually random returns a number, a float number that has decimal position. So I just want 1 or 2 that is going to be left and right. And then I'm going to create a sub event that I can create with B. You see, add another, add blank sub event. That's what I want. And I'm going to ask here first for dear alien if it's equal to 1. And then I want something similar that is going to be equals to 2. So the 2 possibilities that I have here. So if equals 1, I am just going to do exactly the same thing that I had here. I just move the action to this. And now I'm going to copy this action. And I am going to calculate like where do I need to create my alien. So if it's going to be something like here. So the Y range is going to be the same because it's going to be a similar height. The entire thing is like what is this position over here. So I can use the X, something like viewport right and layer 1, and that's gonna add plus 100, something like that. Now if I do it like this, first thing that is going to happen is that it's going to create an alien here, but if you see the direction of the alien is basically pointing towards the right, so it will just continue moving towards here and we're never going to see them. So I'm going to change this and I'm going to say that set angle is now on the bullet behavior of the alien, and that is going to give me the chance to do something like this. I'm going to do them both just in case. To set the angle of motion, in the first case is going to be 90. In the second case, when I create them on the right side, that has to be 180. And I also have to mirror the animation of the alien because this is still looking towards the right. So now I need him to look towards the left. Mirror, something like this. So now let's try it. So you see here the first one, and it's walking in the right direction. So now I want to see one over here to see if it's falling. Is he not doing it correctly? I'm just going to toggle this. Here, So it's going the right, so I don't think it needed that. So now let's see, and then they are walking in the right direction. So you see, now I'm able to create enemies on the left, on the right, and I had it here. So quite likely I change, well, I already had this one here, so I didn't need this condition for that angle of motion. I just need it like that. So the only one that is special is this one. So we're almost there. Now what I want to do is I already have the chance to pick a revolver, and but I'm not shooting. In the original game, I was using the concept of ammo, and perhaps I should do it here, but I think it's too complicated. So the only thing that I'm going to do is to copy the bullet that I have here. Okay, that really comes from one of the Zero tutorials. You can create your own bullet. That one is one of the simplest things that you can do, or well, whatever. And it has already the bullet behavior, right? So since I was already asking for the keyboard, like in this case, it was left and right, what I'm going to do is to use the spacebar to shoot. So what I'm going to say is add element, keyboard, on key press, and that key here I have to press the spacebar, literally push it, say OK. Then I'm going to create bullets. So one of the things that we haven't checked is the animations, like with gun, and I'm going to show you even something like this so you can see it here. And these are something that is called image points. So the first one here is the origin that you see that is right here in the middle, but I have two other ones that are one here and the other one here. Well, actually you can put it a little bit more here. That's the tip of the guns. Why do I have those two image points? Simply because that's where I can create bullets, so they look like they are coming from the gun, not like from the center, that it could be here, from the center of the cowboy. So that's quite useful, because then I can do something like this. I can say player spawn another object, and it's going to be a bullet in the layer 1, and then I can say image point 1 for one bullet. And since I have two guns, I can say spawn another one, but on image point 2. Yep. Here. So I get my gun, and then so it's shooting. Of course, you can tell that this direction is incorrect. So what I'm going to do is to set the bullets, the orientation to the same angle that I should have with the control object, if I'm not mistaken. Let's try it. That one I'm not entirely certain. If I don't do it quickly, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to say bullet angle, set angle to the control object dot angle, I think, and I'm going to repeat this twice because I want to do that with both bullets. So pick it. Of course not. Okay, so that means that the control object is pointing upwards. Okay, so is there any way that I could say that? Well, I guess I could. Well, the player is not doing that. So what I could do then is like here, set angle. Well, I could do it 90 degrees. Just leave it like that. So, well, obviously this is not going to work. This one is not going to work. So how do I fix it? Well, I do have a variable here that is going to tell me if it's going right or not. So I'm just going to change it when it's going left or right. So I am going to say player set boolean going right. So this one is going to be no, it's going to be false. In this case it's going to be true. And originally I think going right is true. So what I can ask is something here. If player is going right, and then I'm going to add an else. So I'm going to move these two over here and then copy those here. And really what I want to do is to change the bullet, set the angle, and then if it's going right it should be 90, and if I do it here it should be 180. Okay, so let's see if that works. So okay, 90. Okay, 90 it's 0. My mistake. It starts at 0 there. So there you go. Now it works. It works okay. So the last thing that I'm going to do is to actually destroy the enemies. I'm shooting at them, but nothing is happening. So I'm going to do a collision between the bullet and collision with another object, and that is going to be the alien. Then I'm just going to destroy the alien. And I am also going to add a little bit to the score, but instead of adding 50, I'm going to add just 10. Because obviously the entire purpose of the game is to pick the stars, not really to destroy the aliens. I am just... Okay, so there were the new aliens. So you see that now. Come on, aliens, appear. There you go. And then, oh, but it's not adding. It's not adding. Oh, it's adding, but I'm not updating the text. It was just adding to the score, but it was not updating the text. So that's what I was doing. So I'm going to pick it here, and then I'm going to destroy you, and then 20. Because apparently, yeah, 40, well, then perhaps I should even add less. So it's adding 20 because the two bullets are hitting the alien almost at the same time. So, but well, it works, and that's it. So last thing, what I'm going to do, and this I'm going to test for it, I am going to add, and this is something that I did yesterday. I tried to make this video before, it didn't work. I am going to add this entire message here. So I am going to go here, layout. Okay, so I didn't really add everything that I wanted. Okay, this one I don't want, this one I don't want. I'm going to copy all this. Let's see, okay. So I want to pick the message, and I don't want to pick some of these things here. So okay, well then I'm going just to move them around. I'm just going to pick it here. Where's that one? Score label winning. Okay, here. And then I'm going to make it layer 1. Well, actually I'm going to put on the UI. So I am going to repeat this message 3 times, and I'm going to use the blue, white, and red. So I'm going to say white here, then another one here that is going to be red. You can pick the tones of blue, red, and white that you want. and also the order, something like this. And before that one I had this block. Well, I should have copied that one first, but well, whatever. Something like that. Well, I'm going to leave it at this. So the thing is that right now all these elements, if I copy them correctly, they are invisible. So if I run this, it's not going to appear. But what I want to do is that whenever I'm able to pick the 50 stars, I'm going to stop the game and I'm going to say that you won, and I'm going to wish you a happy 4th of July. So to do that, if you remember, we had already a variable here that is called stars pick, and it starts at 0. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put here 49 just to test, and then I'm going to ask if compare variables, the number of starts pick are equal, greater or equal than 50. I am going to make this one back visible, and also the winning visible. So that's going to show us the message. Why greater or equal than 50, not just equal? Because there's a chance that at some point I could pick 2 stars at the same time. So instead from going to from 49 to 50, it would go from 49 to 51 or 52, and then this condition will never appear. So I'm just making certain that everything happens. And the last thing that I'm going to do is also to add this thing that is time scale, that is basically a pause. Time scale, set it to 0, and then it's going to stop the game and show you the message. I already set it, that's what I said here, in condition that it starts picked at 49. Then I can try it, and just with 1 star I'm able to make the message appear. Perhaps you don't like this combination of colors, or you want the message to be something different, or you want, I don't know, the flag of the US to appear. Well, that's really up to you, but you just have to change the condition. So that's pretty much it. So right now we have 23 events, something kind of simple, but you already had the explanation of most of the complicated parts of my template called Chili Calacas, and you can download that, like I said before, from this link, bit.ly game templates. Apart from that, I hope that you liked the video, that you liked the game. It was something simple. I will try to create some videos like this that are just like around some sort of event, or like in a specific game idea, something simple that I could explain in half an hour or perhaps an hour, and hopefully that will help you to have more ideas, to create more games, and to, well, do something simple that you can show to your friends and to your family. In the meantime, well, have a great day. I hope that you enjoy the holiday, and please send me any comments about the videos and anything that you want to talk about games. Thank you.